Today's Patreon shoutout goes to Z. Osgir versus Chatterfang, and our opening hand is not great there. We don't have any ramp, so I will mulligan that one. Alright, into a one-lander. We do have Wayfarer's Bauble and a card draw spell. Yeah, that's a greedy keep, but I'm going to try that one. We'll get rid of the Rings of Brighthearth, because there's nothing to do with that in this hand. Actually, with the Voltaic Key, if we manage to get into Metalworker, we've got infinite mana, so argument to be made for us keeping that one. Alright, and speaking of infinite mana, there is the Walking Ballista. So, yeah, perhaps should have kept the Rings of Brighthearth. Anyway, we will get down the Wayfarer's Bauble and pray for our land next turn, because we didn't draw one here. Just another tap land for our opponent. We draw into Cathartic Reunion, so we're getting the card draw. If we can get into another land, we'll be looking okay, I think. Just get down the Voltaic Key this turn. Another tap land from our opponent, and we have managed to draw into a Windswept Heath. That's really good. Get a duel with that. And then crack the Wayfarer's Bauble to catch up on lands. Alright, Rex Sage coming down, going straight onto the Voltaic Key. Not too worried about that getting blown up. We can fish it out with Osgir easily enough. Well, the combo pieces keep on coming. Khan the Great Creator now. We only have to discard one card to the Thrill of Possibility, and I don't have many cards in hand that I particularly want to discard, so I'll just get rid of the Skull Clamp here. It's not as good in this deck as it is in others. Draws us two cards. We get mana, a land for the turn, and a Mana Crypt is excellent. Yeah, that actually means that we've curved out very nicely. We can go for the Osgir this turn. A Key Room for our opponent. And we draw into Oswald, so yeah, means of getting back into those combo pieces. First off, swing in with Osgir. You never know when commander damage is going to be relevant with this deck. And they decide to chump with the Reclamation Sage, that's fine. So let's play it risky here. I'll tap down the Mana Crypt for mana, then sacrifice it with the Osgir, and then tap down my commander, and we'll reanimate the Mana Crypt, get two of those, which means we could be taking 6 life a turn if we're really unlucky. Then play the Oswald, play the Khan, and then we can plus Khan here, and I'll point that at the Darksteel Citadel because I can tap that down, tap our commander down for 0 mana and get a couple of those back. Does mean we go down a land for the time being though. Just Chatterfang for our opponent. We do get bolted once by the Mana Crypt. Managed to dodge the other bolt though. Okay, and a Basalt Monolith as well, so with Walking Ballista and the Basalt Monolith, we should be going for infinite mana and a win on that. Apparently, judging by how this game has gone, should have got rid of the Vandal Blast instead of the Rings of Brighthearth, but that's hindsight for you. So I'll swing in with our Osgir, then tap down the Osgir after combat. I'm going to grab the Wayfarer's Bauble here simply because it can get us into a 2-drop with the Oswald, and the 2-drop can take us into a 3-drop. So 2 Wayfarer's Baubles enter play, then activate the Oswald. We'll sacrifice a Wayfarer's Bauble, and could grab anything here. Probably an Eco Wellspring is the best shot, because we'll draw a couple of cards. Argument to be made for Grim Monolith as well, but we've got Basalt Monolith in hand, so don't really need that. So playing out the Eco Wellspring off the tutor will draw us a card. And we drew into Quicksmith Genius, by the way, which is a decent discard outlet. So crack the other Wayfarer's Bauble. Might as well drag a land out of the library. And we're not going to do anything else this turn with regards to comboing off, so might as well get the Quicksmith into play. Oh, let's also plus on the Khan. They've got an artifact land over there, which is indestructible, so we'll turn it into a 0/0 creature, like we did with our Darksteel Citadel. So that sends them down a land. They play Call the Scions, so that is going to make a couple of squirrels. They could get rid of the Oswald here and keep us off the Rings of Brighthearth. This is why I haven't shown them the Basalt Monolith yet, because for all they know, we're nowhere near a combo. Alright, but instead, minusing down on the Quicksmith, so I dare say they're just trying to get that out of the way of the Chatterfang. Yeah, and swinging in at the Khan. I mean, Khan doesn't have an ultimate or anything, so don't really need to worry about that. It's the tutor that we're really wanting to keep here. So getting bolted twice by both of our Mana Crypts. We draw into a defense grid. So played out the Basalt Monolith. Maybe should have gone for the defense grid first, actually. That would have been a better idea. So get out the defense grid now. Tutor with the Oswald again will sacrifice the Eco Wellspring. That draws us into a Marsh Flats. And we'll grab the rings, play the Marsh Flats. And now we have infinite colourless mana, so tap down for 3 on the Basalt Monolith. And then untap for 3 on Basalt Monolith. That triggers the Rings of Brighthearth because it's an activated ability. So we'll put 2 mana from our lands into that. So now we've got 2 untapped triggers on the stack. We untap first, then tap down for 3 mana and untap again. And now we can tap for a total of 6 mana and do the whole thing all over again. So pay 3 mana to untap the Basalt Monolith, and then 2 mana goes into the Rings of Brighthearth. And we've just net ourselves 1 mana, so untap, tap it down for 3, and untap again, tap it down for 3, and we do this forever, netting a mana each time. So obviously not going to make 36 mana with that method. I'm just going to tell my opponent that we go infinite here into the Walking Ballista. So play out the Ballista for 8 mana. Maybe there's a fog that prevents non-combat damage. Can't remember how much the split second destroy a creature card costs in black. But anyway, we remove as many counters as we like because we have infinite counters on the Walking Ballista. And for each counter we remove, it's a point of damage to our opponent. So just pointed 3 damage at them. We will concede there and call ourselves the winners because our opponent didn't do anything. So we'll assume that we've got that one. Let's play another game. Osgir up against Kozilek this time. And we're going to ramp ahead quite nicely there, hopefully faster than Kozilek will. We're on the draw as well, so our opponent goes first. Just a Shadow Spear from our opponent. The land is a Sanctum of Eternity. And we get into a land. I've just down the land count to about 33 here because I was drawing into too many lands, so hopefully we don't get flooded again. Arcane Signet off the Ancient Tomb takes us into a Wayfarer's Bauble. Got a friend of the channel here, Snowstorm2, so a massive thank you to Snowstorm2 for watching the channel. Hopefully we have a good game here. Our opponent plays an Inventor's Fair. Once again we get into a land. So I'll just drop the mountain here and we'll play out our Osgir. I think commander damage might be relevant this game if we're trying to outrace a Kozilek. Well, that ramps them ahead quite nicely, a Misra's Workshop, and into a Memory Jar. So maybe you have to hold up mana for next turn? Does this put your stuff in the bin? Yeah, you discard your hand, so could load up our graveyard for us, which could be useful. We can only do the reanimation effect at sorcery speed with this. Wow, really? Another land? Alright, so like I said, I'm going to try and out-aggro my opponent, get down the Bronze Guardian here, as opposed to cracking the Wayfarer's Bauble. So swing in with the Osgir, that does have Vigilance, it will be 4 commander damage. So cracking the Memory Jar, alright, that gets some stuff into the bin. It will be an Urza's Bauble as an artifact, a Grim Monolith is a combo piece, as is Rings of Brighthearth, so... yeah, I think those two combo off together, don't they? For infinite mana. Not that there's anything for us to do with the infinite mana. Anyway, our opponents managed to grab a Soul Ring there, a Moon Silver Key as well. Cracking the Moon Silver Key, searching for, that was a Mox Opal. And they do have Metal Craft, so... How much mana do they have available now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Still a ways off their Kozilek. Playing out a Felwar Stone puts them a step closer. Noteworthy that they do have a Scavenger Grounds now. So could exile our graveyard if they see anything that they're worried about, which they will do if they know combos. If we can get through to the main phase, we might be able to reanimate something quickly. Wow. Just another land, a Rogue's Passage. So I think we need to get out the Rings of Brighthearth as soon as we can. Okay, they didn't decide to exile in response there. So we will get a couple of rings here. And yeah, that is now a 5/5. We do have an artifact land in hand, so yeah, we'll get that untapped. I might reanimate this and get a couple of those lands during the next turn or two. But yeah, anyway, buffing this up to a 6/5 with that. Our opponent might exile our graveyard at the end of the turn, and that will leave us free to crack the Wayfarer's Bauble. Inventor's Fair triggering for them. They have 4 artifacts, so they can search for an artifact by cracking this. Likely be able to cast it thanks to the Mizra's Workshop. Okay, a coveted jewel for our opponent. Will tap for 3 mana, and they'll draw 3 cards from that as well. They're going to have to get some creatures down here if they don't want us to steal the jewel away. Able to generate 8 mana here though, so I don't know, maybe a mere battle sphere or something. They don't know about our Rogue's Passage. Noteworthy that they're not holding up the Scavenger Grounds either. So that is a Golem's Eye. Tapping that down for 2 takes them back up to 6, and an Ugin the Ineffable. So it could blow up our Osgir, and deciding to just put down a 2-2 instead. I'm not sure they should leave the Osgir in play. Playing out an Expedition map as well will wipe out their mana. So at the end of the turn we'll get an extra piece of mana by cracking the Wayfarer's Bauble. Can't pay for the Rings of Bright Hearths, unfortunately. Otherwise that would be some nice ramp for us. Alright, Teferi's Protection is probably worth keeping hold of, but I think we need to take advantage and get out the Grim Monolith. I think we also need to get rid of the Ugin, annoyingly, so let's swing both of these things in at Ugin. Would have been nice to have the unlimited mana so that we could have gone Rogue's Passage onto something there and still hit my opponent, because we're seeing Kozilek next turn, I imagine. So we'll just swing both of these in at Ugin and go wide on our opponent. Deciding to block for the card advantage. So that forces us to buff the Osgir. We'll tap the artifact land down for mana and sacrifice it, pointing our buff at Osgir. No need to pay into the rings. So they get that card into hand. Got rid of a Kozilek the Great Distortion at some point, not sure when that happened. There is a Skyclave Relic and a Bonder's Enclave in the bin as well. So now we activate our commander. We're going to point ourselves at the Grim Monolith. It's a shame that we don't have many really good artifacts to go after, but yeah, go after the Grim Monolith. The most expensive artifact we've got is 2, and it is the Grim Monolith, so we'll put life into the Ancient Tomb. And then this is again, unfortunately, we don't have the infinite mana yet, otherwise we could just be dumping it into Rings of Bright Hearth constantly. Didn't actually let us choose new targets for the copy there. Anyway, let's tap down some mana. We've got the Grim Monoliths there, so we can pay into those. Yeah, and it's not letting us change the targets here, so I'm guessing we just can't do that for whatever reason. We end up with a bunch of Grim Monoliths regardless. Play out the Rogue's Passage. This thing is now a 10-5, and we'll just untap the Grim Monolith now. So it is paying 4 mana to untap that. Put some Rings of Bright Hearths on the stack, so I'll tap down another Rings of Bright Hearth and yeah, another one there, and we'll say yes. Okay, I'm actually in a bit of a mess over which Grim Monolith is being tapped down stuff here, right? And our opponent scoops there anyway. We didn't have the victory there. Yeah, we were just drawing into Urza's Saga next turn, which after a few turns we're probably just getting yeah, just some more fast mana or something. But yeah, we do have infinite mana there. I was just trying to untangle myself and end the turn with all of these untapped, which we could have done given a bit of time. Ultimately, what we do there, tap these for 3 mana. If we've got 4 mana floating, then we can choose to untap one. It puts Rings of Bright Hearths on the stack, so we can put the 4 mana into those, and it just puts a bunch of untaps on the stack, and we can tap in between the untaps resolving. So basically you float a bunch of mana and it is infinite. Other than that, I guess our opponent just gets down the Kozilek next turn. We can protect ourselves through the next turn, draw into the Urza's Saga, and then maybe make enough artifacts to make the Bronze Guardian relevant and just one-shot them, thanks to the Rogue's Passage. Yeah, not entirely sure we had it, but we may well have done, depending on what they do next turn. Hopefully you all enjoyed this visit to Osgir. Apologies for Osgir content being late, but Magic Online likes to take its sweet time with actually releasing new commanders for us. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.